can't even get that answer from me. You've got to go to the only thing, and that is his spirit, which has the ability to go beyond the physical protoplasm, the physical, the physicality, the outward appearance, which we get so caught up in because it look good. Amen. You need the spirit that's able to seek out the deep things. Yes. Yes. What you mean? I'm going to find out what's behind what it look like. So I need something to go in because I don't even know what to ask. Y'all ask me the question, I'm just going to answer. The spirit will face, it'll cause the spirits in them to dig out. Let me tell you something. When you're looking, even when you're dating, this is a big thing. When you're making choices on anything, don't do nothing that you don't get a peace about. Amen. Can you receive that? Amen. Don't make no decision you don't have a peace. Huh? Yes, yes. It ought to come with a peace. Okay, all right. So I'm waiting, okay? I'm impatient. And God ain't doing what he said he's going to do fast enough. So I'm looking at something that look good. It's a good idea. And I'm going to pick it. I'm going to select it. And how many times have you and I selected something because we couldn't wait on what God promised he was going to give us? Okay, y'all not hearing me. How many times have we picked something that God didn't pick? Yeah. And then get mad at God because of what we pick, and when we pick don't work. Because God couldn't get it done on his own. He needed our help. Go ahead and say, ouch. I know I'm talking to the church. You see, everything that the dream, the promise God gave you, he gave it to you, and it's inside of you. And let me tell you this, I can prove it to you. Children are closer to their promise and dreams than an adult ever is. You say, I don't get it, Pastor. I'm going to tell you something. Children are closer to the realm of spiritual activity than grown-ups are. Because over the years, you talk yourself into not believing that the promise is not true. You talk yourself into believing that you ain't going to never be nothing. You'll go through life. We go through situations that make us disappointed and stop being excited about what can be. If you ask any one of them children what they want to be, two of them might tell you an astronaut. Why you won't get those kind of answers out of us? Because at that age, nobody has distorted them and told them what they can't do. Nobody has put limitations on them. That's why the enemy works overtime to put dirt on us as we grow, so we'll never go back to the thing. And let me ask you this. If a baby is coming out of the womb telling you he want to be an astronaut, he want to be this and be that, who do you think put that in him? So what does the enemy do? He pours dirt on us over the years. Huh? Let me show you what kind of dirt. Men telling you you ain't no good, telling you you're dumb, telling you you can't do nothing, telling you you ain't smart enough, you ain't pretty enough, you ain't come from the right side of the tracks, you don't have the education. And as life and disappointments and rejection come, you begin to lower your expectations. Things that God showed you even when you were a young child, you don't think it can happen anymore. You know what the devil is doing? He knows that you were right there near your promise. You were right there near it, but you can't get there because life has threw dirt on who you really are. I'm just talking to y'all today. So what happens? Come on, let's talk real quick. There was a man by the name of Abram. Quickly, y'all. I'm going home. Everybody know Abram, right? Later, his name changed to what? Abraham. Y'all know the story? I'm not going to spend too much time, but we're going to get it. Abraham was supposed to be the father of many what? Come on, I'm going to walk through this and let you go home. Father of many nations, meaning he was supposed to be a father over millions. Are y'all hearing me today? But the only problem is Abraham was getting old and his wife, and they couldn't bear children. Are y'all with me? Y'all know the story? Amen. One day they got tired of waiting on God. Anybody ever been there? I'm walking you through it. They got tired of waiting on God, and Abraham's wife, what was her name? What was her name before it was Sarah? Sarai, all right? And before God took her to that point, Sarah got sick and tired of waiting on God. I'm talking to somebody in here that been praying and asking God for something. You know what he told you. You ain't even second guessing it. The only problem is, the only reason you are guessing or second guessing at all is because it looked like it's never going to come. Amen. Time. And you ever been impatient? Oh, yeah. So guess what she told Abraham? She said, we ain't going to have no babies between you and I. Go and get my maiden. Go and get the gal to live with us. And go sleep with her and go make a baby. Uh-oh, hold on, y'all. The baby was named what? Ishmael. And the woman that Abraham took on to make Ishmael was named what? Hagar. Now watch this, y'all. I got a question. God told Abraham what it was going to be. God showed them what they were going to have. And he couldn't wait because it took too many years. I'm talking to somebody here today. It took too long. What did he go and do? His wife says to him, go and sleep with the gal in the house. Now watch this, y'all. Abraham ain't asked two questions. Abraham didn't ask no question. Abraham ran and went on and slept with her. Didn't he do it? And made a child by the name of Ishmael. Amen. Now, watch this. Ishmael was not what God promised. You brought it up, Taylor. Let's go. Ishmael was not the promise, but it was a good idea. And in his eyes, he definitely thought it was a good idea. But it wasn't a... Hold on. Let me walk through the story because we can't go through it all. So as this goes on, years go by. I think the Bible said about 14 years passed. About 14 years passed, Ishmael done grown up, and all of a sudden, he turning and toiling because guess what began to happen? This is a word for somebody. All of a sudden, she started complaining. Who? Sarah. What's she complaining about? She getting sick of looking at the heifer. I thought I'd get your attention. She's sick of the winch. Huh? Hold on for a minute. You know why? She's sick of looking at her. This is the woman that had the baby for her husband. And guess what? You know what she said? She walking around, I'm just putting it in our term, walking around like she all that. The only reason she got you, Abraham, is because I told her to be with you. And now she got to know to roll her eyes at me. Now y'all get it? And one day, you know what she says? I want him gone. I don't want no memories of her or him. You see, I got good news for everybody in here that got a good idea. Let me tell you about the good idea. The good idea sounds good for the moment. But can I tell you something? The blessings of the Lord make of rich, but it addeth no sorrow. When it's a real blessing, it won't come back later and haunt you. When it's a real blessing, it won't come back later and whip you. When it's a real blessing, it won't come back and abuse you. When it's a real blessing, it'll come. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me. How many things have you picked because you thought it was a good idea and it came back later to bite you in the behind? Amen. Right. Oh, yeah. Some of us living with some y'all ain't here. We living with some hat guys right now. Did y'all hear what what you mean we living with the winch? Some you settled for. Some you couldn't wait on. Some you went out and got on your own. Some you made your own decision. Some you had to rush into. And you had to do it because you had to have it. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me today. And all it was a nagging injury that was waiting to come back because there's only one way that's going to work. That's God's way. Oh, how many of us went through hell because of the hell we picked? The man that drove you crazy, the woman that drove me crazy, I picked them, you picked them. Then we look back and look like somebody did something to us. Wow, my God. That's why we ought to have the attitude and say, Lord, don't give me everything. Lord, make me what I need to be so I'll know what I need to want. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me today. Delight yourself in the Lord. If you want to know what to pray, here's how you do it. Spend time with God. When you spend time with God, you become immersed in His Word. You become immersed in conversation with Him. You develop a relationship. As you develop a relationship, like they tell you, you've been hanging around people, you start to talk like them. You don't just start to talk like them. They say after a while, even married people start to look alike. After you hang with God, you begin to put on His image. You begin to put on His ways. He said, be ye holy, for I I am holy. The problem is we want to have holy, good conversation, holy, good decisions, but we don't want to spend time with a holy God. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me today. If you delight yourself in spending time with God, he will give you what you should want. It's not a magic potion. He simply takes you over time, and watch this, he converts your brain over to his brain.
Thank you, Lord.
And you don't have to strain to do it. You know what you do? People say, well, how do I do it? How do I do it? Here's how you do it. All you got to do is spend time with him and live. Don't do nothing extra. Just live. Because what you don't know is you're slowly changing over from what you were to what he is. And when you get ready to make those big decisions, it won't be you making it. It'll be him. Because he said, let this mind be in you, which is also, come on, somebody. And that's how God begins to show you that he'll cause his desires to become. Is this helping anybody? I could shout, but is this helping anybody? All right, so now Abraham goes in. 14, everybody say 14. Now, you done had this child 14 years, and all of a sudden, she tired of looking at him. And guess what she told Abraham to do? Get him out of here. Now, I'm going to help somebody out that can't let go of yesterday. I'm going to help somebody out that's holding on to something that's been dead. Nobody ain't saying nothing. I'm going to help somebody out that can't let go and can't cut the string. Can't cut the rope, can't cut the chain. 14 years he had the child that God didn't promise. And all of a sudden she irritated by looking at him. And guess what Abraham did? He didn't want to get rid of Ishmael. Now hold on. Abraham knew that Ishmael was not the promise. But he didn't want to let go of the son. How many of us living with something right now, we know it ain't God's best? And you know it really ain't even that good of a situation. But you're so comfortable with being uncomfortable that you're scared to step out on anything else because you're used to the abuse. So even though Abraham had a child that was not the promise, he didn't want to let go of him. Somebody say it's because of his son, but y'all get ready to miss it. This ain't even about children. This is about all the Ishmaels you got in your life. Amen. All the Ishmaels I got in my life. The stuff I ran out and did it my way, and now I'm living with it, and now God is saying time to send it away so I can give you what you want. After 14 years of doing wrong, God said all of a sudden this idea popped back up in their head. Get rid of them. And you know, oh, come on, y'all ain't hearing me today. Hold on, you know why? You forgot what God told you. I'm going to make y'all, I'm going to make y'all parents of many nations. Okay, I'm closing here. I'm closing. This is a word for somebody. I want you to get this. So what does he do? Now he want to pray. Now I'm going to show you how. See, that's a Negro for you. I know Abraham was black for sure. I'm going to tell you why. Now, watch this. Y'all laugh. Watch this. When his wife told him to go sleep with the side piece, he ain't think about praying. He ran and hopped in the bed. But now that his wife is telling him, I want the baby, now he won't go and ask. You ever notice something? This is going to help somebody. We always want to pray about something that we already know the answer to.
Every time. Amen.
Uh-oh.
Amen.
Say ouch.
Ouch.
We want to keep asking him like a child do the parent. Maybe he'll change his. And let me tell you for kicks. You know what God told Abraham? Go ask your wife. Do what she said. How you like that? Since you ain't think about asking me in the beginning, had you asked me in the beginning, we wouldn't have been in this mess. Now you in a mess. You want to come back and ask me what to do? He said, go back and ask your wife. Do what she said. I'm just going through the story. Brother Taylor brought it up. Now watch this, Brother Taylor. So now he sends the boy away. But let me just help y'all out. Because I don't want nobody to think, listen, God honors real men, real fathers. The Bible even tells you that before he sent them away, he packed plenty of food and money and sent clothes and everything. You know, that's called child support. The Bible says he sent them with everything he needed, and he sent them down the road. Can I just tell you something? Whatever it is you holding on to, Don't start getting evil or bitter. Don't start getting hateful. Don't go out like a devil. Stay who you are. Stay full of integrity. Stay saved. Stay full of the Holy Ghost. Look, do right by it, but wave it goodbye. Ain't nobody talking. That's why I know I'm preaching. Amen. So now we're closing here. We're closing here. He goes, and what do you know? After we went through the story, and I ain't going to go through it. Y'all know the story. He told them, they laughed. People always talk about she laughed, but he laughed too. Huh? Did you know Abraham laughed too? Read the Bible. When he laughed, she laughed. They laughed because they couldn't believe after all these years, something came back. One of y'all said it a few minutes ago. A God idea don't fade. That's right. And even after 14 years of living with the wrong thing, that nagging burden was still, because God didn't change his plan, because you changed yours. That's right. Oh, yes, Lord. I got new. If he gave it to you, it's yours. Amen. Go back to it. Okay, ho. Somebody getting this. It ain't for everybody, but somebody getting this. Okay, so now, after all of that, they get a beautiful baby boy. What was his name? This is now the promise. Is that happy story over? No. How about this? If that ain't enough, God turns around and tells him one day, he said, Abraham, now that you got the promised child, the one I told you to get, now I want you to do this. I know y'all didn't look for me to come in and do this, but I'm teaching right now. Amen. I'm trying to help you to get to, I'm trying to show you what the promise is. That's good. Yes, Lord. Huh? Ho. He says, I want you to give me your only son. Now, it was one thing to give away a son when you had two. But now you're down to one and you got to give up. I don't know who I'm talking to today. Now, why in the world would God ask me to give up? I understand why he told me to give up the bastard. But why is he telling me to give up the promise? I got some good news and we're going home on this. Sacrifice is what's going to birth your next move, your next great accomplishment, your next anointing, however you want to word it. It's going to start with sacrifice. You're going to have to give up something for God to release what he's getting ready to give you. Now here's the key. If y'all remember the story tells me this in Genesis 22, I think it is. It go on to tell me something like this. It says, and so all of a sudden, Abraham shook his head. And the Bible says he went up to get ready to go up on the mountain. And like every time, him and his son would prepare sacrifices. Huh? And as he went to prepare the sacrifice, he said he went up, and I'm done. He says he went up. Before he went up, the Bible says something like this. He stopped at the bottom of the mountain, and he told the people there, stay here. That's in Genesis 22. I think it is. He says, stay here. He says, me, oh, this will make somebody shout right here. Me and the lad will be back. Y'all didn't catch that. Is that in there, Deacon?
Amen.
Huh?
Verse 5.
Listen.
And Abraham said unto his young men,
now picture this. They getting ready to make a sacrifice. And they always did this. Abraham and Isaac always went up there and sacrificed animals and all that, right? Well, now God had told Abraham, you're going to sacrifice your son today. He gets to the bottom of that mountain, and he tells everybody, he tells them what? Stay
Abide
here.
ye here with the ass.
Stay right here with the donkey.
And I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again unto you.
And me and the child going to go worship, and we're going to come again. Now, I don't know how many of y'all caught this. If he knew he was going to sacrifice his only son, why did he tell them, we'll be back? And this is a word for somebody here today. I'm going to tell you why. Because sometimes with God asking you to go through, it don't align itself. It don't look like it belongs with what he promised. What you're going through now don't add up to what he promised. But you got to get in your mind that it don't matter what's going on in the process. even if he asks me to do something that looks contrary, I remember that he, and what Abraham got in his heart, and what you need and what we need to get in our heart is this. I'm going up on this mountain, but the Lord promised me this child. And if I got to give him to him, it must mean that after I kill him, he going to raise him up again.
Hey.
You see, oh God, y'all ain't hearing me. That's the mindset that we got to have. Where you give God what you have. Even if it's your promise and it look like it ain't going to happen. So that he can give you exactly, what he wants you to have. Let me tell you this, and I'm done. And it's a reason why, I don't usually do Bible stories like this and talk so we ain't shouting and we ain't jumping. All kind of weird stuff happening in this church. Don't think it's like this every week. And God still might just, you don't know what's getting ready to happen. But I thought about something. And I thought about the people who've been labeled. I thought about what you said to me last week, brother, and what we agreed on. And when you share your testimony about how people are about past, and I had to tell everybody about my past, it's been 2 weird weeks. But God moved after that. And I'm learning just to do what God says, even if it's just quiet like this. That's how people get free, when you do what he says. I found out that all this time, brother, Satan was kicking dirt on us. And I don't want to add to that story where here I go again, but it's you and me today. Satan wanted to throw dirt on us so that we'll never discover the true treasure. I'm talking to a few people that got some dirt. They've been through some things. But you know what? My whole life they tell me, be you. You ever heard somebody say, just be yourself? We keep telling people who don't know who self is to be yourself. How can you be yourself when you don't know who you are? You know what the problem is? Ask anybody today, who are you? You know what I'm going to tell you? I'm Robert Scarborough. Who are you? I'm done, but who are you? Who are you? Well, I know what my mom and daddy say I am. Some of you know what the teacher called you. Some of you know what your ex used to call you. Some of you know what the brothers in the neighborhood call you. You know your nickname. Some of us don't know any of that. We only know what we've done. So then what happens is, brother, we take on the identity of who we are, and we trade that in for what we've done, and we say that's who we are. And people don't let us become who we are because they're so stuck on what they think we did. I got a word for you. This is a word for us today. What you've done is not who you are. Because you were somebody before you ever did what you did.
That's right. Amen.
Y'all didn't catch that.
Amen.
Oh, I was somebody before I did what I did. Which means whatever I did don't define. In order for me to know who I am, I've got to find out who God says that I am. And it's all tucked under that dirt. All the hell, all the stuff, all the abuse, all the molestation, all the hurt, all the abandonment, all the betrayal, everything has covered up the real truth about who I am. But the devil is a liar. I don't know what made me go this route today. And I got many questions, but I'm going to stop here. You can't run from who you are. Because who you are is in you. So if it's in you, when you run, guess what's going to be there with you? Your purpose is in you. The greater one, he lives in you. I could say a lot of things today, but the Lord says slow it down and just tell them what I want them to know. It's time to let Ishmael go. Yeah. God gave you a promise, and he's not slack. And let me tell you this. Anytime you get a promise, the promise is only as strong as the promiser. And let me tell you about your God that made the promise. Your God is a God that cannot lie. And if he made the promise, it's got to come to pass. Oh, it's a quiet day today. But the word I just gave you, if you'll take it, you won't go into 2018 with your good idea. The discomfort that you are experiencing, the feeling out of place that you're experiencing, is God reminding you that I have a promise, and I'm going to keep my promise, and I'm going to remind you. And so what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to destroy everything that you have built so that I can bring back to you what I purpose for you. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but it's time to start over. It's time to start over. Stand up. Stand up. Come on, preachers. We got other questions, but we're going to stop right here today. I'm never out of nothing to preach. I can keep going, but then I just believe I ought to stop right here. Delight yourself in the Lord. Delight yourself in the Lord. You know, you got by playing both. Word Church, we got by playing both sides for a while. You know what I mean by that? We wanted to keep Ishmael and Isaac. A little bit of Jesus, a little bit of world, a little bit of promise, a little bit of my idea. And you got away with it for a while.